Jam Session is a podcast where two guys who grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth discuss sports, craft beer, life, and their experiences living in one of America's most vibrant cities. If you love sports, you're going to love this show. If you love craft beer or you're curious about it, you'll love this show. Great conversations with good friends is what Jam Session is all about.
Welcome. It's nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will.
You're listening to the Jam Session Podcast.
I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
With Cowboys insider...
What's your name?
Jean-Jacques Taylor.
That's my name.
Radio personality and craft beer expert, Matt McLaren.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot. Comes from upbringing.
And now, the Jam Session Podcast. It is indeed Jam Session. Subscribe, rate, and review, and hang out with us for a while. Right here on the Jam Session Podcast. The moment we've all been waiting for has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, the radio, TV, and now podcast star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor.
What up, dog?
I would be the non-sexy one. It's Matt McLaren, and this is Jam Session, the podcast, version 39, asking simply that you prepare to be dazzled.
If not entertained.
And I don't think, Jacques, that either of us were with what we saw today. When the Cowboys season came to an appropriate end, they are 6-10. They are done. There will be no playoffs in Dallas this year after really a gross-looking game and a loss to the New York Giants.
Nah, man, it was a fitting end to a wretched season. The Cowboys did just enough to tease you before you figured out that there was not going to be a happy ending. And, man, I'm not at one level, I'm not surprised. At another level, I am surprised because they just didn't play well. It's one thing if you play well and lose.
Right.
Because it happens sometimes in the NFL. You can play a pretty good game and, lose. And this was not a case of playing well. They didn't play well. They made a bunch of little bitty mistakes, a bunch of mental mistakes.
Right.
And it all came back to get them. But frankly, for the most part, it's the way they've been playing all year. So why am I upset or why am I frustrated? They are, as my man Dennis Green said back in the day, who we thought they were.
They really are, man. And
they really are.
Watching the first half, I just thought, this is what you're giving us. You have a chance. Now, who knows what happens with Washington? We're recording the podcast before we find out. But you going into the game had a chance that you could go to the playoffs, and that's the effort you put out there in the first half, a first half in which neither the defense nor the offense was any good. The defense allowed 20 points. The Giants were averaging 17 points a game, and they scored 20 in the first half. And then you look at the Cowboys' offense in the first half, somehow managed to put up 113 yards at 3.3 yards per play in the first half.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you vote on my poll?
Yes, I did.
How would you describe the Cowboys offense thus far? Abject, putrid, pathetic, or dirty diaper bad?
I selected dirty diaper bad. It was.
Well, we got about 500 votes, and about 45% of y'all called it dirty diaper bad, which I found amusing.
They were horrible in the first half. They couldn't run. Andy Dalton was god-awful atrocious in the first half. It's a miracle they were even in the game because he threw 3 or 4 passes in the first half that easily could have been intercepted. I mean, there's a couple of Giants that dropped it. They were 1 of 7 on third down, and yet somehow, some way, they were still in this game at halftime.
Because the Giants ain't no good.
Right, because the Giants, just like the Cowboys, they're two teams of colossal shit is what we watched tonight.
Pretty much. They're two awful teams. The Giants were just a little less awful than the Cowboys today. I mean, at one level, it's about trying to find some positives as you move toward 2021. But if you look at this team today, man, it was cow poop, man.
It was bad. It was really rough to watch, and there's a lot of things to get into.
Who got on my nerves today, man? Before you get into who got on my nerves.
I wonder if it's the same guy that I got on my nerves today.
I wrote something today that I have never written in 25 years of covering the Dallas Cowboys. I did my grades for the Dallas Morning News, which I do every day after the game. And on the run defense, I forget what grade I gave him. I think it was a D. But I put, the Giants did this and ran out the clock on 2 plays to end the game. The Cowboys' raggedy run defense betrayed them one final time. Jalen Smith finished the game with a team-leading 10 tackles and 5 celebrations. I'm like, dude, you are so extra. I'm like, this is what I'm saying.
Man.
When you celebrate so much as a defensive player that people go, you're celebrating too much. Like, you're not Michael Irvin, who used to celebrate every first down, big punctuation of the fist. Even Zeke has dialed it down because he's not having a great year.
Right.
Like, even last week when he had a couple good runs, I don't think he did the feed me thing, and maybe he did it once, but he knows, like, I'm not really kicking ass, taking names. I don't really need to be putting it out like that right now. But Jalen Smith, my goodness. Now I like Jalen, but I'm just going to say this, man. He has the feel. I'm just saying the feel. And I'm not talking about me because he would crush me. I'm talking about in the world of alpha males that populate the National Football League, okay? That's what we're talking about here. Did you see that highlight, man? 3 minutes into the game where he's wiggling his neck and he's talking to the dude from the Giants and they're going back and forth.
Yes.
Here's what I noticed about that. This is just your boy now. That dude put his hands on Jalen's chest twice and pushed him very vigorously.
Mm-hmm.
He responded with nothing. That feels like a fake tough guy, man.
There's a little of that, I think.
And then, who was that who got the interception? Somebody got the interception. Donovan Wilson. And maybe they got a fumble early. He was leading the parade down to
right.
And I'm just like, what do you like? Let that dude decide if he wants to go down there, man.
Probably my favorite one of the day for Jalen was when I think it was the 2nd and 1, and he starts getting up and celebrating like crazy, and they got the first down on it.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this, man, because I'm not sure. How did we get here?
I don't know.
Jalen Smith was a great story.
I know.
Come back from a horrific knee injury, had one hell of a, I think it was 2018. How did we get here where we accidentally started mocking Jalen Smith?
I don't know, man. And I think it's interesting because it is a great story. And I had, I facetiously put on Twitter at the end of the game, my tweet was, hey, guys, I didn't see. Did anyone catch to see if Jalen made sure to celebrate the Giants getting negative yards on the victory kneel down? And somebody responded and he goes, hey, I hear you, but Jalen had drop foot and nerve damage after ripping his entire knee. I'd be celebrating fair catches if I was him because he never knew if he was going to be here. And, okay, I get that as a rookie. I get that early on in your career. My problem is this. Football truly is the ultimate team sport. Nobody can be better than the team. Nobody can do things without the team being there with him. And so while I understand the joy and the positivity, and I love his attitude at times, the problem is you have to look at it and say, I play on a really bad team. I have to look at this and be like, okay, I thought that I made a good stop. They got a first down. What am I doing? Why am I celebrating this?
Okay, check this out, man. I was watching a game with my dude this weekend. And a play similar to what we're talking about happened. And I said, dude, if I ever see you do this, I will run out of the stands and bop you upside the head with your helmet on. He goes, what? I go, this right here. And I rolled it back for him. He said, oh, that dude jumping up and down because he made a tackle after a 20-yard gain?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. He said, yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it, man. He said, don't worry about it, Dad. I won't do that. I promise. But that's what we're talking about, man. Maybe it's just a little bit of today's generation. Maybe it's some of that.
I guess, but Jalen is the epitome of it because he does that all the time. He leads the team in tackles because he's making tackles 8, 12, 13 yards down the field.
Not the season's over. I'm going to ask a couple questions. And maybe we'll be able to wrap up the season with one final edition of Whispers from the Star. And we'll get some truth on a lot of topics since we haven't really been able to do it with the pandemic and everything the way it is right now.
Yeah, it's been tough for that. And this is another edition where we didn't have secret audio of a Cowboys homer last week. I don't have it this week because of everything that's going on, being able to see family. It's just hadn't worked out. And today, my God, I mean, it was at a point where I was like, okay, like you guys realize there's a game on, right? I mean, everybody else is talking like, oh, what are you doing over there? I was like, come on, guys. But look, it's one of those things with Jalen that I think when, as a fan, you see the frustration of what this whole season was and you see how poor. I mean, we're talking about a defense that today, obviously, the record is well in check. This is the team that has allowed more points than any other team in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. They allowed more yards per rush than any other team in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. I believe they finished second worst in most yards and most rush yards allowed. And so when you know this and you see that frustration and you see a dude out there celebrating and you're just like, man, get a clue. Yeah, you made the tackle, but they did something good, even though you made the tackle. Like it has to balance out. And I don't know that Jalen will be here next year. I have a feeling that the Cowboys are going to look at his guarantees for 21 and 22 and look at the level of play that we've seen the last couple of seasons. I just don't think that the value of what you are paying him is there for what you have gotten back, because it's more than the statistics. Cool, you lead the team in tackles, but you're not tackling. You're not a game changer. You're not doing anything.
Impact player,
right? You're not an impact guy.
And so to me, he'll either take a pay cut or he won't be here.
So we'll see. But I did think it was interesting because I had the exact same thought that you did. And, we always share our notes, and we've talked about that before. And you had put in the note to get into this, and I thought the exact same thing when it happened. The final 4 plays of the game today summed up the Dallas season in so many ways. And in my thing, I think I even tweeted something. I was like, there it is right there, a microcosm of everything we've seen all year long. Right there at the very end of the game, from the final 3 plays of the Cowboys and the last play or 2 from the Giants. If you wanted to give a Cliff Notes on this season, it'd be that. You would go and say, here's the 5 plays. You don't need to watch any of the games. That is what the Cowboys season was right there in a nutshell.
I just, I had it from the beginning. I mean, I just felt it from the beginning because I think before the final drive, even before the final set of plays even started, once they had it 1st and goal at the 6 or 7 or whatever it was, I was like, well, here we go. They've been awful in the red zone under Andy Dalton. There's a variety of reasons why, but if they're going to win, they're going to have to punch it in. And of course, on the first play, they give up a sack. And I'm just like, to me, the drive was over at that point because they're not going, the way they've been playing today, they're not going to gain 19 yards on 3 plays and win a game without some help from a penalty or something. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it was a combination of the protection broke down early. He held on to the ball too long. He holds on to the ball way too long, way too many times for a veteran quarterback. Like, okay, hell, I don't even play, man, and my internal clock goes off. Like,
get rid of it.
Like, you got to get rid of it. Like, okay, my first read, my second, boom, I got to throw it out of bounds. I got to throw it into the seats and live to play another play. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? And so it's 2nd and 19, and then they come up with a good play. Mm-hmm. They got a nice route to CeeDee Lamb. He's coming across the middle. He's going to get about 10 or 12. And he drops the ball. I'm like, dude.
I know, hit him right in the hands, and he's wide open.
And we know what he was doing. He was trying to catch it, run, because linebacker or somebody was there, and he was going to get hit. But but I'm just like, dude.
Yep.
That time in the game, bro, as fabulous as you've been this year, and you've been fabulous, you can't drop that one, dude. You can't.
No.
But he did.
Yeah, and that was such a killer. Because then you knew, I mean, like I thought, okay, you've got 2 plays, maybe you can pull a rabbit out of a hat, but you're also at the 17 or whatever it was, and it's 3rd and goal. You have to score a touchdown anyway because of the scenario that you put yourselves in earlier in the game. So this is it. It's, again, everything that frustrated you about the Cowboys season played out really right there, back to back to back offensively.
Because, I don't know how many of y'all know this. They rank 31st in the NFL in drops, only behind Pittsburgh. And so that's second down. And then third down, again, you're holding on to the ball too long. Although I know it's the end of the game. You're trying to figure out how to make a play and all that stuff. But you can't lollipop it into the end zone, bro. You can't. There's like 2 Cowboys and 6 Giants in the end zone. Even if you want to take it to fourth down, okay? Even if you want to do that, fourth and a miracle, that's cool. But you just can't give it up and say, well, I'm going to throw it up for grabs on third down when there's 6 defenders and 2 white jerseys. I'm like, dude, you're a veteran quarterback. Come on, man.
Yeah, I was stunned by that throw. It was a god-awful, atrocious throw for a guy that's been in the league as long as he has, where I just thought, I get that you don't want to take the sack right there, but throw it out of the back of the end zone. Hell, throw it out the side of the field. You're not in the tackle box. Get rid of the damn ball. And it made no sense. And as soon as he threw it, you knew it was picked. It looked like anybody could have caught that. I mean, it was probably the easiest interception ever.
I was disappointed in that because the name of the game is you extend the game as long as you can extend it. However you can extend it. And so, again, if you got to throw the ball away, they still had a timeout. So, okay, fine. Let's throw it away. It's fourth down. Let's get over here and come up with the hook and ladder or whatever we're going to do on fourth down and see if we can pull out a miracle. That's okay, even if it doesn't work. But, dude, you didn't even give yourself a chance for it to work. So, now, I did go, well, they've got 3 timeouts. If they can stop them here, because they run blitzing and sending 10 guys to the line of scrimmage. They stop them here. Maybe they can get the ball back at about their 35 with no timeouts and, maybe 35, 40 seconds left. And so what happens, man? They get 5 yards on first down. I'm like, what the hell? And then on second down, I thought the dude was finna go 65 or 70
I thought he was
touchdown.
just gone. Yeah.
Gallimore. I know you guys are like, who? Yeah, whoever that dude is, Gallimore.
Yeah, he was a Clemson back before ETN.
Like I said, whoever that dude is. But then he fumbles. Somehow he fumbles. It's raining. The ball is slippery. He's trying to adjust it. It literally pops out, and for a moment, are the football gods really trying to do this for the Cowboys?
Yeah.
But no, it was just one more tease because there's about 8, 7. I mean, okay, realistically, there's about 3 or 4 Cowboys there. Mm-hmm. Maybe 5. He's sitting on top of the ball. He can't recover it because he's sitting on top of it.
Just washed laundry doesn't smell just washed.
Somehow.
That's because there's hidden sweat and
the Giants get the ball.
Yeah.
It was just pathetic.
Yeah, and it was weird, too, because at first, everybody is all angry and irritated. It looks obvious, like how in the world Gallman didn't get that back. And then they had that one camera angle, clear as day. He's got the ball cradled, and right there, I'm like, there it is. He's cradling the Cowboys 6-10 season in his hands.
That's a good way to say it. I hadn't thought about that.
And yeah, man, I mean, that breakdown of those plays right there literally is everything that we have seen week in and week out, especially since Dak got hurt, with the injuries on the offensive line, where the quarterbacks never felt like they had any time, constantly getting hit, constantly under pressure, bad decisions, turnovers on offense, which they had gotten better at as the season went along. But obviously that one came back to bite them late in the game here. And then the rush defense all year long, one of the worst rush defenses that we've ever seen. It started off that way. I mean, it was one of those where I think Evan Ingram had 13 yards on the first play of the game, and then they started running it, and it was 8 yards on their first carry, then 10 yards on their second carry. And like to your point, it's Wayne Gallman Jr., man. And you're sitting here going, what? Like, this is amazing. And then sure enough, when you had to have it, if ever you were going to stop the run ever all year, 5 yards, 8 yards, season, see you next year.
Unbelievable, dude. Except, I like to say this, except that it's not. I mean, I sit there and go, unbelievable, but it's really, really not. Basically, at the end of the year, I mean, you are who you are. And, we could talk about why you ended up where you ended up, whether it's good like Buffalo or bad like the Cowboys.
Right.
But at the end of the year, man, you are who you are. There's, injuries, flukiness, whatever. We should have did, we could have did, we might have done. It's whatever, man. Because it all evens out at the end of the year, and you become whoever the hell you are.
Yeah, and again, you're talking about a team in the Giants that came in. Other than the Jets, the Giants were the worst offense across the board in the NFL with points and yards and all these different things. But like we've seen week in and week out, and we've always said this, if you have a bad offense and you need to get back on track, you need to fix some things, play the Cowboys. And look, to the Cowboys' credit, the second half, whatever adjustments that they were making, the offense worked a little bit better. The defense was making some plays in the second half. They still got a couple of takeaways in this game. We saw Donovan Wilson making plays again. And
Told you.
It's just one of those things where they I don't know if all year, really ever since Dak got hurt, and really all year, I think you can say all year, because when Dak was here, the offense was really strong, obviously. I mean, Dak was on pace to obliterate all kinds of records passing-wise. And then he goes down, and we never saw a game where it felt like they played for all four quarters up to, even if it's, look, we're a crappy team, let's play to some slightly above crap level. It never felt like we had a game where it was all four quarters like that. And today was a great example of that.
Yeah, they just couldn't find any consistency. I think a lot of that was a patchwork offensive line. I mean, they held up as much as they could. And I think ultimately they did for who they had out there playing. I mean, think about who they had out there playing. Terrence Steele, who can't play. Brandon Knight. Those are both undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
With very limited experience. I mean, they made the first starts of their career this year. Joe Looney, who's a career backup. I mean, he's solid as a backup, but he's a career backup. Let's tell the truth. You had Connor Williams, who's just a guy. His greatest claim is he wasn't hurt this year. Nobody said he played good.
True.
Well, he didn't get hurt, so he's out there for every snap, and he gave it all he had. Okay, fine. And then, Connor McGovern at your right guard, who's making the first few starts of his career and appears to be just a guy as well. Thus far, just a guy. So, when you don't have anybody you can trust on the offensive line because any of them are liable to be beaten on any given play, it's hard to function with consistency. Why? Because your offensive line is all about five guys working in unison. And these guys, your guess is as good as mine whether you're going to get some unison on a given play.
Yeah, very true. And that unity never happened. That contributed a lot to, and I thought it was weird in this game, but Zeke Elliott, he does not hit 1,000 yards. He finished, I believe it was 21 yards shy with 979 yards on the season. He had 14 carries for 42 yards in this game. And there were a couple of runs here and there. I mean, he did have a 13-yarder. He had the one, I think it was on the third down, where they needed to pick up the conversion where he runs over Bradbury. It wasn't a long run by any means, but just a physical, you're not stopping me type, won't be denied run. But then you look at it, and again, much like everything else that we saw this season, it was a great example of what Zeke was this year, where you would see flashes of, okay, maybe there's still something here, but reality of it is, for the majority of the season, Zeke Elliott, not the back that we thought he was going to be coming in.
No, but I think I think we'll have a much better idea of who and what he is and what he's got left next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that because today was like every other game they've played. They were chasing the game the whole time.
Yeah.
They were never ahead. So you're chasing the game. You can't consistently run it. You can't try to establish a run because running is all about being able to stay in the game long enough to figure out, okay, is this a zone running game? Is this which of our running plays will work? Let's try this. Now that didn't work. Let's try that. Now that didn't work. Let's try this. That didn't work. Let's try. Oh, well, we got a little traction here. Let's try that again. Oh, that worked. Okay, so it took us to the middle of the second quarter to figure out which of our running plays works. Well, when you're chasing a game, you can't afford that because once it's 13-3 or whatever it was, it's, if we don't score here and it's 20-3, we got a big time problem. And so I think a lot of it was chasing the game. A lot of it is he's clearly wasn't as explosive, whether that's nagging injuries, whether that's getting closer
right
to 28 the fall off age for NFL running backs, whatever the reason. You know, I don't like to say this, Matt. It don't really matter what the reason is. You know, it could be any of those things. The bottom line is he had, I think, 20 runs of 10 yards or more this year, and last year he had 38. That's a big-ass difference, bro.
It is. It is a big-ass difference.
That's a huge difference. And 2 years ago he had 41. So he's basically gone from 41 to 38, which is basically the same, to 20. Well, that's a significant drop-off in a year. And so you got to figure out, is that the line? Is that Zeke? Is that no Dak there? And what do you mean no Dak? Well, hell, Andy Dalton averaged 5.1 yards per attempt today. That's a joke. When you don't I don't think they took a deep shot today.
I don't recall.
I really
one.
don't. Now, you can say, again, did they not take a deep shot because they couldn't protect? That could be it. Did they not take a deep shot because Andy had trouble, throwing the short ball today, let alone the deep one? It doesn't matter. This much I know, all right? And ask anybody who knows football. If you can't back folks up, safeties, linebackers, because they worried about you hitting passes behind them, then that makes it hard to run the ball, man. It just does, because there's no spacing. And so when Andy Dalton's averaging 5.1 yards per attempt, hey, man, they ain't thinking about your passing game. They all playing to run. And so now you have what's the word? Ignominy. I don't know. It's ignominious. Ignominious?
Magnanimous?
No.
I know what you're trying to say, but yes. Yeah. So
anyway, you had the dumb luck or the dumbness or what's the word I want to say?
Ignorance?
I don't like any of those words. Let me quit looking for my words. Let me put my thesaurus down. You had a bullshit that ends up with
there it is.
Andy Dalton outrushes Zeke. 7 carries for 48. Yeah. Almost all of those on scrambles. Zeke goes 14 for 42. So that's not to say, Zeke is really losing it because Andy Dalton outrushed him. It's more about the whole running game was a joke today. And since Zeke is your lead back, it starts with him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And they've got, the questions are going to be a couple of guys on this team. Jalen is one of those. We already talked about that. Don't think he'll be here next year. Zeke is going to be here next year, but the question is going to be interesting to see at what point do you see, okay, next year is what we believed was going to be the case, like you talked about, where we still think you can be that Adrian Peterson, Emmitt Smith, what have you type back that is effective as you continue to age in your NFL career, or were you truly just a 5-year back? We did what we could with you, and you just don't have it anymore. And we don't know the answer right now. I really thought Zeke was going to be that next type of back, but after what we saw this year, I honestly don't know. And next year, it's going to be really interesting, especially if Martin can come back and is healthy, if Tyron Smith doesn't retire and can play his 12 or 13 games, and if Lyle Collins is going to be here and can really help to improve the line, then maybe we'll see a little bit more of what we thought we would see from Zeke. But right now, I think the jury is still out on how he's going to be as he continues to age.
You know what we're going to talk about one day, man? I'm writing it down so that we don't forget. We're going to talk about, because the beauty of the NFL, and maybe I end up giving Frank Gore some love, even though I really hate to. The beauty of the NFL, man, is about, for great players, is about longevity and greatness, the merging of the two of them.
Right.
All right. And so at some point during this offseason, since the offseason's kind of started now.
Yes, it has.
we'll talk about guys we thought were going to be Hall of Famers. Like, yeah, that guy's a Hall of Famer. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Who aren't. Like, Zeke would be on that list. Like, I thought, oh my God, yeah, he's sure enough headed down the list as a Hall of Fame running back.
Seemed like it, yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr., he'd be on the list.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh my God, hell yeah, he's no doubt about that. And there's probably 4 or 5 or 6 guys like that who started off fantastic and then faded for whatever reason. Again, that doesn't matter why, but for whatever reason. But right now, Zeke is on that list. Hopefully, he can recapture it. But you just never know, man.
You're right. You don't. You never know. And so Yeah, disappointing season. You're not paying Zeke the money that you're paying him, regardless of whatever is happening. Reality of it is, we talk about it all the time. Certain guys, fairly or unfairly, you got paid $20 million a year because you produce double-digit sacks. That's what guys that do that get paid. You got paid $15, $16 million a year at the running back position because you're running for 1,300 plus yards in and out. You're averaging whatever it is, upper fours per carry. You're not failing to crack 1,000 yards. I don't care what the reason is. Okay, there were injuries on the offensive line. You had to play from behind. I get it, but reality of it is that's why we paid you the money that we paid you. And we talk about that all the time. That's the reality of professional sports, man. Guys make their contracts because they produced at a certain level, and the expectation with the payment is you will continue to produce at that level. And if you don't, teams will cut you and get rid of you. And then, they shouldn't have cut him. That's unfair. No, look, we gave him the money. It's either do this or don't. Otherwise, we're done with you. We're bye. See ya. So we'll see how it plays out with that. The other thing that we saw in this Cowboys game, as the Cowboys season comes to an end, is the Mike McCarthy-ness that, and I think we talked about this last week, Shock, the idea that we kind of thought he would come in and at least be a better game day manager. Where
You missed that one.
Man, did we ever? Because there were two things today. And maybe he's right, and it was too early in the game, as he said, on the 2-point conversion when it was 20-15. But in my head, I'm thinking, this is to me where you go for it so you're within a field goal. If you don't get it, what difference does it make? To me, there's no difference than 4 points and 5 points. And who knows, maybe they would have gone for it and gotten it. And then things are different, obviously, at the end of the game because you're not down by 4, you're down by 3. And then obviously, maybe, and I haven't been to MetLife Stadium. I don't know how good their video board is there. I'm assuming it's an HD large video board. But for all I know, it's an old school like television from the 1950s, and it's fuzzy and hard to see anything.
It doesn't matter because the coaches have access to what you're looking for.
Challenge the Pettis catch. Challenge the catch. You have to challenge the catch. Your season is on the line. What in the world? How in the world do you justify not challenging that call?
Well, he told you how he justified not challenging the call. Because obviously the guys, the Archers, Clarence E. Hill Jr.'s, David Moore's of the world, asked him after the game, hey, walk us through that deal. And here's what he said. This is Mike McCarthy not challenging the catch. We just felt like it was too close. We felt it was a bang-bang type of situation. The 3 timeouts were obviously of high value. And my response to that is, that's just dumb.
It is dumb. And that's
especially dumb, Matt. Here's why it's especially dumb. Because you told us you spent a year in the barn becoming innovative and analytical and taking a new look at the game. And what you did was classic old school football. My timeouts are more important. Bro, this is a win or lose the game play.
I don't understand that. I don't know how anybody could ever understand that. When you're talking about the time of the game in which that happened, where you had to have known that if you allow them to get any points right there at all, it makes it extremely difficult for you. You decided to not go for 2. To me, it's like you had to do one or the other. If you had gone for 2, then maybe you're not challenging, whatever it is. It's so damn frustrating that, because you're sitting there and we're watching the replay and I'm going, I know they're showing that in the stadium. Cowboys coaches, whoever's job it is to call down and say to challenge this, is looking at it. I mean, Mike Pereira on the call, on the Fox broadcast, is sitting there going, oh yeah, you got to challenge this.
Well, there are times to challenge and blow a timeout. There's times where a timeout is too valuable. But that play right there, man, I mean, the situation is, if you challenge it and you don't get it, you lose the timeout. Okay. I mean, you lose the timeout. But if you challenge it and you do get it, it's 4th and 18. They can either attempt a 60-yard field goal or punt the ball. And your odds, those are all good odds. Mm-hmm. Those are odds where it's worth the potential of losing a timeout. Like every time you got to make a big time decision like that, and we talk about it all the time, you know, these analytic nerds, hey, you should always go for it on 4th and a yard. Well, no, you shouldn't. You probably don't need to go for it on 4th and a yard at your own 10 because, great, you got the yard. Now you only got 89 yards to go for a touchdown. All right? At midfield, that's different. If your running back got 250 yards, I might go for it on 4th and 1. If he got 14 carries for 27 yards, I might not go for it on 4th and 1.
Right.
It's all about the situation. At that particular situation, you have to challenge it. Because it's the NFL. 50-yard field goal is not that big a deal. And there's a big-ass difference between being down 4 and being down 1.
It was a stunning mismanagement of the game, I thought, to not do that
shit all year, man.
I know, and that's the thing. And it's going to be really interesting as they move forward if there's changes to the staff, what they decide to do. I can't imagine after everything you saw throughout the entire course of the season. And again, as we talked about it earlier in this podcast, the Giants right down the field on the first drive of the game. And on the very final drive in the game where your run defense had to make a play, they couldn't do it. How on God's green earth you justify bringing back Mike Nolan, I don't know. Maybe he finds a way. Maybe the Joneses go to him and say, no, there's no way in hell that dude's coming back. Because we're not doing that again. He shattered records across the board for the worst defense we've ever had in franchise history. Not happening again. I don't know what the future holds, but it'll be interesting to see if Mike McCarthy learns anything from this season with the Cowboys. Because to your point, he spent that year in the barn. He came up with all these ideas, watched all these plays, was going to have this innovation. And time again this season, we saw where it failed, whether it was mismanagement of the clock with timeouts, whether it was I'm going to go for 2 here, but not for 2 here. I'm going to challenge this. I'm not. Various times this year, the upgrade in game management was not there over Jason Garrett, hence 6-10.
That's the place where I thought Mike McCarthy would give the Cowboys the biggest edge. Because again, and we're going to keep talking about this, they hired him to win right now. They hired him because they're like, we got a great team. We think we got a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
We're going to get us a Super Bowl caliber coach and try to make this run. That's why they hired him. I thought he would be a better game manager than Jason Garrett because Jason Garrett was not a good game manager. And my God, man. Now, you'll hear some of his apologists. You will, in the media. There's a few of them. You'd be surprised. Most of them reside on the flagship station.
What a shock.
But his apologists, well, he's not the only one making that decision. But what are you talking about, people? I mean, hey, man, when things go awry at the Taylor household, who looks at it and says, I guess I didn't take enough charge of that situation, Matt?
I guess, man. I mean,
I mean, Dad, at least in the Taylor household, is ultimately the buck stops with him. When things go wrong, I look at things and go, how did I screw this up? What did I not do? What can I learn from this so I don't do this again? I don't go, hey, the lovely Lorraine, what are you doing, girl? What's the problem here? When I was growing up, my mom was the head of the household as a single mama. Shit go wrong, Matt.
Yeah.
All eyes on her. Just like when it go right. So don't tell me about, it wasn't McCarthy. It wasn't his decision. Nah, bruh. At the end of the day, when it's good, it's his fault. When it's bad, it's his fault. Ultimately, at the end of the day. And he did a piss poor job in general of managing games this year. Because I tell you all the time, Matt, you can get 59% right. You still flunk, dog. It's not like you got a 0. You got something right, and he got something right this year. But overall, he funked the game management part of the season.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think when you look at it and you say your record is 6-10, look, there are injuries, there are things that didn't happen correctly. We've talked about that. But regardless of any of that, at the end of the day, to your point, it falls on the head coach. Teams are going to have injuries. Things are going to happen. Stuff isn't going to go your way. Reality of it was the best they could figure out what to do with what they had was 6-10. And 6-10 in the NFL is a failure.
By any way you do it.
Now, I will say, for those of you that were wondering, as we've been trying to track this every week, now that the season is over, and as we're recording this podcast again, this is Sunday. Many of you will be listening to this on Monday, January 4th. But the Cowboys, as it sits right now at 6-10, are in the 10th position in the draft. That could change to some degree because Denver and Carolina are playing right now. And I don't know strength of schedule, which is the tiebreaker for draft positioning, if they could jump up to 8. But it looks like they would be somewhere between 8 and 10, depending on how the remainder of these games play out. I think the Chargers may have a strength of schedule that's better than them as well. So if the Chargers end up losing and drop to 6-10, it's possible somewhere in that neighborhood of the 10th pick, though. Maybe the 11th, maybe as high as 8, depending on how it plays out. So I guess all in all, it's still somewhat possible for the Cowboys to get a top 10 pick, which obviously, if you're not going to be in the playoffs, my thing is, and we talked about that as well, if you can make the playoffs and get in, cool. If not, I might as well finish top 3 for me, because what difference does it make?
Yeah, I would say so. We'll see how it stacks up. But they need help in a lot of spots. And so before you, I'm just going to tell y'all right away, before you get started, they got to pick a cornerback. They got to pick this. They got to pick that. Not really. Let me tell y'all what they got to do. They got to pick the best player there, because when you do that, you don't have busts. When you pick, we got to get this, you end up with Taco Charlton.
Right.
I'm serious.
No, you're
serious.
right.
Pick the best dude there. CeeDee Lamb turned out pretty good to me, but that's what you do. Pick the best dude there. You can't go wrong. But there's plenty of time for draft conversation, and we'll get to it. But I'm just giving y'all a little heads up.
Yeah, we will. And, it's interesting because that prompted me to just think, and I was like, man, you're right on that, because, and I have no idea. I'm going to check it out right now because I don't know. Kayvon Chason, who was the edge rusher that everybody wanted, that they thought, well, maybe they should have taken him. I was like, I have no clue what he did this season. Now, obviously, he ended up getting drafted by Jacksonville, and they're horrible. But it looks like he started 2 games. And this is before whatever happens today. So coming into today's game, he had 15 games. He played in all 15 games this year, started 2, had 1 sack and 16 tackles.
Yeah. But see, check this out. Now, he might end up being a good player.
Right.
Because as the draft conversations went deeper, what was the thing about Chason? He's really young and hadn't played a lot of football.
Right.
And so he may take some time to develop. And so maybe he turns out to be fine. But I will tell y'all, forever and a day, as my mama used to say, always take the best player. You cannot ever go wrong.
Right. I agree.
Taking a dude that you know can play within reason.
By the way,
as opposed to trying to fill a need.
CD finishing his rookie year, 74 catches for 935 yards as a rookie for CeeDee Lamb. Not bad. Now, Justin Jefferson, obviously, in Minnesota, went ballistic. I mean, he finished with 1,400 yards receiving. Not bad as a rookie. But CD is going to be just fine.
CD would have been about 1,300.
Yeah, if Dak hadn't gotten hurt.
If Dak had played.
Yeah.
Oh, before we leave this, man, I got a text from somebody saying Jalen says watch the film. And so apparently Jalen Smith was asked after the game if he thought he'd be back with the Cowboys in 2021. Now, that's a fair question. That's a good question. And here's his quote. This is Jalen Smith. I mean, watch the film. But for me, it's a blessing to be able to play this game. So many people thought I'd never play this game ever again. So for me, I'm my worst critic and I'm my biggest fan. I'm going to keep battling, keep grinding. But the guys that know football and know our scheme and watch film, I don't have to speak on it. It's all love.
Okay. You're right. The guys that know football and watch film, you're right. You're exactly right. Which is why you won't be a Cowboy next year. So I have no problem with what he said because he's right. And then, or like you said, maybe he is a Cowboy, but it's going to be at a restructured deal because that dude is not the type of money that he is making at the linebacker position. The production that we have seen from him, like truly seen from him as an impact guy, is not on that level.
Nah, he's going to be a fascinating look. And, I'm just going to file that away and we'll see what happens.
Sounds good to me, man. So I will say this. I know it's been, I don't know, maybe you're happy today in a way. There is some of me today that's like, man, I'm just tired of having to watch this crap. And I thought, you know what would really pick me up, honestly, is like just
do like I did.
It could be. I was thinking, I mean, maybe you splurged and you went out, but I was thinking, I just want to get in a kick-ass car and put the pedal to the metal, roll the windows down, maybe throw on my heated seats because it's cold today, and just enjoy myself. And then I was like, man, I don't even know where to get a car like that. And then it hit me. Blue Star Motor Group. BlueStarMotorGroup.com is where you get a car like that, exactly like that, because they specialize in superior quality, Carfax certified, pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models. Anything that you are looking for, they are going to have it. It is going to be top notch. You can see it on their website at BlueStarMotorGroup.com or give Deb a call at 817-881-4066. They're also on Instagram. You can see customer reviews and all that. And again, their inventory, pricing, everything that they have for you, no matter what you're looking for. If you're looking for one of those pre-owned cars where you're like, you know what? I do want that new car, but I don't really want to pay the new car price. That's where Blue Star Motor Group comes in.
Now, let me tell you about this, Matt, because we talk about a lot of high-end cars. I mean, they can still be expensive, even though they're great deals. I had a friend called Lovely Lorraine the other day and said, hey, I hear Jacques talking about that car thing, but I need a cash car. And I go, oh, here's what you can do.
Okay.
Blue Star, because I went and looked. I said, I don't know. Let me go check it out. And when we're talking about cash car, you're talking about a car that's, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000. You're just going to pay cash for it because you don't want a note.
I got you, yeah.
Yeah. 2009 Honda Accord. You go, oh, that's a little old. Car's got 53,000 miles on it, man.
What?
$9,400. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, they got high-end cars.
That doesn't even make
sense. They also got cars like that.
That's incredible.
And all that means is it's like the car my mom had before she passed. Little old lady driving the car, doesn't drive very much, or a little dude doesn't drive the car very much.
Right.
Or it's like my dude who drives all his within a 5-mile radius between home and school. Mm-hmm. And they just didn't put a lot of miles on it. So it's an older car, but they ain't got no miles on it. So yeah, Blue Star Motor Group. Check them out. They got a deal for everybody.
That's incredible, man, because my car is a 2014 Ford Fusion that I have, and my car has 140,000 miles on it.
Dude.
But when I got it, it had 30-something thousand miles on it, and I got it in 2016. So in 4 years, I've put over 100,000 miles on it.
That's going out in breweries all over there.
Yeah, it's driving around quite a bit, man. But yeah, BlueStarMotorGroup.com is where it's at. And of course, we tell you all the time, when you have a car, whether it's a car that you just got or a car like we're just talking about, like mine that I've had for a few years now, you always have to get it serviced. We told you about the email from DeAndre the other day that sent us an email on Jam Session to let us know that he had gone to Freeway Tire Shop and he was blown away by, one, the pricing and how competitive it was, but more importantly, the customer service, where JR personally took care of him, was glad, loved that he was a Jam Session family member, essentially. And that's the type of stuff that you're getting at Freeway Tire Shop. And we've talked about that. Blue Star Motor Group's the same way. We're fans of them and they're fans of us. So when you go there and you're like, hey, I'm fans of Jam Session as well, then it's like, oh, okay. And even though maybe you've never met them before, all of a sudden you have something in common and you have that connection of, awesome, now we're buddies because we're all in the Jam Session family.
There you go.
And Freeway Tire Shop, it's right there off of 35. Competitive pricing, elite customer service, as I told you about DeAndre's email. They'll take care of the Jam Session audience, whether it's an oil change, an inspection, general mechanic work, tires, whatever your needs may be. You can schedule an appointment and request a quote at freewaytireshop.com. And don't forget, they also offer their new service, Tires to You, which is a mobile tire service that you can have come to your house and put on new tires at your location, wherever you happen to be. So give them a call. Check them out there online at freewaytireshop.com. But as we roll forth here, and we're going to get back into the Cowboys and the Kellen Moore situation and some things like that, but it is time to take a trip around the block. And man, I am currently, and this is what you got to love about modern technology. Jacques is at his house in the Dallas area. I am at my lady friend's dad's house in Oxford, Mississippi, doing the podcast. And we had flown to come to Oxford. You have to fly into Memphis, and then Oxford is almost exactly an hour from Memphis. So we fly in, and they picked us up at the airport, and we've been here for a couple of days, flying back on Monday morning. wanted to come and see him. I hadn't been out here. I think she's been out here a couple of times in the last year, but I hadn't been able to make it out. I hadn't seen her dad since last Christmas, so I was happy to be able to come and spend a few days here. So last night, and this is an absolutely incredible story.
Oh,
so
I'm all excited.
Yes, last night we are out and about, and then we're going to come back to the house, and we decided, hey, let's stop at Kroger. And no, I know the wings there are amazing. Mango habanero, buffalo blue cheese. You should get them at Kroger. Unfortunately, they don't have them in your Mississippi locations. They do have them at most North Texas Kroger locations. The wings from Kroger are fantastic. I wish they were here. I would have picked up a couple of pounds, thrown them on the grill here, gotten them ready to go, what have you. They're back there at the back of Kroger at the meat counter. Those wings for Kroger, I'm telling you, grab some today. But that's not why we went to Kroger.
Okay.
We went to Kroger to pick up some craft beer, local stuff. And we get out of the car. And so we were driving with her sister and her sister's fiance, and we were in the back. And so they pull up and like, hey, we're not going to go in with you guys. We're just going to drop you off, and then we'll just sit and wait. We're like, cool. So they stop to let us out. We hop out of the car. They pull off, and she looks at me, and we walk into the store. We're walking into the store. She goes, I don't have my phone. And I go, okay. She goes, I think I heard something fall to the ground out in the parking lot. And I was like, oh, my God. We got out over a storm drain. And so we go outside to where they let us off, and sure enough, there's a 3 foot by 2 foot, one of those big metal storm grates. Yeah. And I get the flashlight out of my phone and I shine it down in there. Her phone is sitting at the bottom of the storm drain.
Oh my God.
Probably 10 to 12 feet deep.
Oh, that far?
Yeah. And so dude, I'm sitting there and going, okay. I was like, well, and so I try to pick it up, and then I realize that the asphalt of the parking lot is slightly over each corner of the grate. I was like, you can't pick this up. It's impossible. I said, it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, there's no way we can get it. It's just gone. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And she obviously
like Mission Impossible, man. You got to get like some tongs and some string and slide it down
right?
like that.
So we get back, and obviously she's upset, and I knew she was way more upset than she was letting on because I know her very well. I knew she was just super bummed about it. And so I was like, okay, well, there's got to be something. So we're telling her dad about it and everything. And I was like, man, maybe there's some way we can call. So I just called the non-emergency number of like the fire station. You know, who knows? They get cats out of trees, you know, who knows? And so they tell me you need to call the police department. I was like, okay. They didn't laugh. They didn't think this is obnoxious. So I call the police department. Police department says, okay, let me get somebody on the line from the street department, like the city works, whatever department, and see if they can help you out. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, if I'm in Dallas and this happened and I call, they just laugh and go, dude, we're trying to sort through 250 murders. And you what happened? A cell phone?
Sucks for you, man. Figure it out.
But this is Oxford, Mississippi. They were as nice as could be. And sure enough, I'm on hold for like 5 minutes, and this guy comes on, and he's like, hello. He's like, man, tell me what the problem is. And I was like, and I explained to him what happened. He goes, okay, all right. He goes, well, let me call somebody and see if we can get somebody out there. And he took my number, and he said, I'll give you a call back here in a bit. Sure enough, about 20 minutes later, the dude calls and he goes, okay, can you be at the Kroger in 30 minutes? I was like, yep, I sure can.
Hell yeah.
And in the meantime, what we're all doing here at the house is exactly what you just mentioned. We were trying to concoct something that we could fiddle through the grates in the drain. And so her dad has this Gorilla duct tape, you know, like Gorilla glue.
Yeah.
And then he had a really long pole. So he put some of it at the end of the long pole, and we were practicing picking up stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to work. It's going to work. I was like, okay, we got to go back.
Mission Impossible.
Exactly. So we go back to the parking lot, and this dude gets out of his truck, and he's got this giant ass like metal crowbar. Because I had told him, I said, look, man, I don't know if you guys can do it or not. The asphalt's over the corners of it. So he comes out, and he's like, oh yeah, this happens. He goes, we had a lady a couple of weeks ago that dropped hers down a 40-foot, and we just couldn't get it. He said, that was too deep. He goes, I think we can get down there and get this one. He just chisels the parking lot off of it right there, like, you know. And then his guy in another truck comes and he instructs him, hey, block off right here so nobody drives by in the middle of the parking lot. They turn on their lights on their truck, and this dude just chisels each of the four corners, pops the grate out. The other guy pulls this giant-ass 10-foot grabber out of the back of his truck and just leans down, hangs over the thing, and grabs her phone and pulls it up.
Wow. What's a grabber look like?
One of those, you've probably seen like a 3-foot grabber, where you've got I don't even know what you call it. Like you clutch the handle and it opens and closes the grabber, and it has like 2 suction cups on the end.
You play at Dave and Buster's?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, kind of like that. And he just leaned down like that, and it was no big deal. I mean, it took them 5 minutes, and I got a picture with the guys, and I posted a picture on my Twitter, and I'll do it again. I'll try to remember to do it on Monday morning when you guys are all listening to this. And because I took a picture of how far down in the drain it was, and we took a picture with the dudes because we couldn't believe it. I was like, man, you guys didn't have to do this. You could literally, it's a cell phone. You could have been like, it's a Saturday night. No, sorry, we're not working right now. And they were as nice as can be, saved us a chunk of change from having to go buy her a new phone. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the phone. It had landed on top of like a thing of mud, so it was dirty, but it had a soft landing. It's totally fine.
How about that?
I couldn't believe that. And I'll tell you this, man. Now it's one of those things where I guarantee that never happens again, because you'll never forget it. You'll always make sure you securely have your phone with you, your keys, whatever.
Yeah, dude, that's a story for the ages, right?
Man, it was awesome. I mean, we were talking about it all day today. Like, I can't believe, because I didn't know what to do. Like, when we walked out, and as soon as she said I dropped my phone, she's like, I think I heard something drop when we got out of the car. I was like, oh my God. Because I knew we had gotten out over that thing. I was like, I guarantee you it went right down there. Dude. And sure enough, and that is the weirdest feeling. Yeah, when you shine your light down there and you can see it and it's 10, 12 feet below the ground. And I'm just sitting here, I'm telling her, I'm like, man, it's like when you drop your keys in molten lava. They're just gone.
They're just gone.
You know? And I was like, it's just gone. I don't even know. But, hey, I tried to come through in the clutch, make a couple of calls. Called my people, and it worked. But I did want to say, I mean, that is, I think, probably the difference of look, Oxford, yes, this is where Ole Miss is, the University of Mississippi, obviously, but Oxford is a small town, man. They don't even have a Target here. They've got one Kroger in the whole city. Yeah. And so I'm telling you, that Southern hospitality, small town charm, because I guarantee you, if this happened in Dallas, there's no way you're getting your phone back.
No, they just got too much other stuff.
Right, exactly. And on a Saturday night, I mean, it's 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Those dudes are probably hanging out at the house drinking beer at their families.
Now, 7 o'clock Saturday night in Dallas, I was watching DeSoto get thumped by Duncanville in the cold at Globe Life. Is it Park or Field?
You know what, dude? I can't remember which one is which either. I find that so annoying that they're both the same, but not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about. That was a rough day. Rough day for you guys.
Yeah, I figured. I thought Duncanville was a better team, but dude, when you watch Duncanville up close, whoo,
they're on a different level.
DeSoto's really, really good. I think DeSoto was like 21st and 21 in the nation, and they got beat 56-28. And it really wasn't even that close.
Yeah.
Now, they had and then here's what happens when you got a team like Duncanville. They had a receiver who's going to SMU. That dude caught 7 for 244, and I think 3 touchdowns.
Damn.
But most of them were like crossing routes and other things where he just caught the ball, hit the turbo button, and he was gone.
Yeah.
Now, to put that in perspective, DeSoto got like 2 or 3 guys, and I'm not exaggerating this, 2 or 3 guys on their football team are on one of the state's best 4x1 relay teams. And he was running away from them cats, bro.
He's what you call fast.
Dude, it was unbelievable. But they're a really good team. But I tell you what, man, you should, or we should, or whatever, Duncanville and Southlake next week, that's appointment watching right there, if you like high school football.
Is that for the title? Is that the state title next week?
That's just the state semis, baby.
That's the semifinal? Okay.
Because remember, Galena Park is probably going to be waiting for whoever wins that game in the state. But Southlake's got the top quarterback in the country, junior quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Duncanville's got, top 2 or 3 team in the country. What an epic game that's going to be.
It will be.
It's supposed to be at either Globe Life or AT&T.
So we move from that to, speaking of the difference between a small town and Dallas, how about this? As many of you know, it is now 2021, and it is official. 2 murders late on New Year's Eve brought the Dallas 2020 total to 251 for the year, a 23% increase from 2019, and the most murders in the city of Dallas in over 15 years.
I just feel like a lot of that has to do with the pandemic, bro.
That's what they're saying, because I was reading an article in the Washington Post that was basically talking about it's not just large cities, that even some of the smaller cities, like for whatever reason, murder rates are way higher than they've been. And like New York had like thousands of murders this year, which was way higher than they'd been.
Well,
like almost back to where they used to be before Giuliani went in and cleaned up the whole town.
I think it has to do with just the frustration that comes from being locked up and cooped up, where every little thing sets you off.
Yeah.
That's one. And then I think it has to do with desperation, man. Like, people have lost their jobs and they don't have a way to make money. And so I think that has made a certain segment of the population just a lot more volatile. That's why they're talking about domestic violence has gone up and all that stuff, because the stressors are much more, there's just a lot more stressors than in a normal year.
Yep.
And when you put all of that together, it doesn't take much to set people off. And, people act irrationally because there's so much stress going on with them. It's not an excuse. I think these are just reasons why in my own criminal justice degree thought process.
No, and I think because they had some people that study that type of stuff for a living and whatnot that kind of echoed the same type of sentiment, that the pandemic has really played into this with just everything that's happened in 2020. So hopefully 2021, as we've started now 3-4 days into this thing, will turn out a little better for everybody. Hey, for us, I mean, thought a cell phone was gone, and then by some sort of a crazy, miraculous happening almost, able to retrieve it. We were like, okay, our luck has changed already in the year of 2021. And I ate my black-eyed peas this year.
Did you?
Yeah, I felt really bad. I even put this on Twitter. I was like, look, man, I haven't wanted to say anything all year long because I've just carried so much weight on my shoulders, but I did not eat my black-eyed peas on January 1st of 2020, and the world went to complete shit, and I just felt really bad.
Did you eat your greens for money?
I did not, no.
Well, hell, that could be part of your problem, too.
But I did eat my black-eyed peas. So hopefully, again, I'm sorry, everybody, but hopefully 2021 will be much better now, and I apologize for what I did.
Yeah, you owe us all an apology.
I just did. I said I was sorry.
I'm trying to see if that was heartfelt or not.
It was heartfelt enough, I think. All right, so a reminder, we do have Jam Session t-shirts, $20 plus shipping and handling. We still have medium, large, and extra large, right? In both red and black.
No, the mediums are gone, brother.
We don't have any mediums left.
No.
So we have large and extra large in both red and black.
Yep.
And then we have 2XL in black, and that's it.
3XL.
So we have 2XL and a couple of 3XLs left.
Correct.
But only in black.
Correct.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. So, all right. Again, large, extra large in both colors. 2XL and 3XL only in black. $20 plus shipping and handling. And keep in mind, guys, please put your shipping address. If you email me, I need to know where you would like us to send it. So the way it works is you email me your order, what size, color you want with your shipping address, and then I'll put together an invoice for you, and I'll email that back to you, and it has payment instructions on there. And then once we receive payment, obviously, we will then ship the shirts out to you. But a couple of you guys have ordered shirts, and you never paid. And I've sent follow-up reminders to a couple of people. So if that happens to be you, then if you want one of the shirts that you had ordered, you need to make sure that you send over payment so we can get those out to you. But otherwise, some of you have paid. And again, we just sent a huge order not that long ago. So with the way that the U.S. Postal Service is running right now, you should get them. I would imagine most people, if you ordered a shirt, you will get it by sometime in this next upcoming week.
Yeah, everything is, unless you ordered it the other day, everything is caught up to date.
All right. So if you do want a shirt, send me an email, matt@jamsessionpodcast.com. That's matt@jamsessionpodcast.com. And I've got, I think, like 4 more orders I need to send over to you that just came through today. Yeah.
Oh, well, good. Make sure you do that, man, because I only like to make one trip to the post office a day. Right. Now, on the real, though, we will tell you that we appreciate it because, a lot of people have said that they wanted to support us, and can we set up something to get almost like a GoFundMe page. Yeah. You don't have to do all that. The way you support us is go visit our sponsors and go buy a T-shirt. That's the best sign of support you could ever give us outside of just listening. So we appreciate it. And keep the orders coming. I like going to the post office.
All right.
Once a day.
Sounds good. Yeah, there you go. So make that happen. As we continue as well, don't forget about our...
Matt,
yes?
I've even got a stock room, man.
Wow, that's fancy.
My dude walked in there. He said, "Oh, I see what you did here. Okay, I like this."
You're like a miniature Amazon.
Yeah, it's in my movie room. I got a stock room up in there.
I like that. That's very nice. Also
included with little stickies on the wall that says large, extra large, 2XL.
Dang, man.
It's a professional operation over here, bro.
It really is. It has to be. I mean, so many of you order the shirts. It's really awesome.
No, that's on the real.
It's very, very cool. Our buddies at HFX Foundation Solutions, don't forget, we've told you about this and the signs to look for if you feel like you're like, man, do I have a foundation problem? Well, if you have cracks, sticking doors, soil washout, things like that, it's very possible that you do, and you do not want to wait on that. So give Aaron and the team over at HFX Foundation Solutions a call. 817-770-0174, or check them out online at hfxfoundation.com. They are A-rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they will be with you all the way from your free inspection. They'll come out and make sure you're good all the way through the final cleanup of the project. And of course, don't forget, not only do they specialize in slab, pier, and beam foundation repair, they can also do your drainage and gutter installations. That's HFX Foundation Solutions, online at hfxfoundation.com. So, yeah, we talked a little Cowboys earlier, and obviously that was some big news over the course of today. But I got to tell you, man, yesterday I was absolutely stunned, or I guess maybe it was Friday, whenever it was, absolutely stunned that the Texas Longhorns, it was yesterday morning. That's right. It was Saturday morning. Yeah. The Texas Longhorns fire Tom Herman, and they did what Auburn apparently failed to do, which was, we're going to get rid of our coach that still has a huge buyout, but guess what? We're doing it because we got a guy already in place that we believe can turn this thing around. And that's why, just within a few hours, they had officially announced the hiring of the new coach of the Texas Longhorns, coming over after spending the last 2 seasons as the offensive coordinator at Alabama, Steve Sarkisian, coming to Austin. And this is an interesting one to me. This isn't one of those hires that, like, I was like, wow, whoa, can't believe they got that guy.
I don't know that candidate existed.
See, and that's what I thought too, outside of Urban Meyer.
Right. He's the only one.
I don't know who it would have been. And so I thought, okay, you've got a guy, and for those that don't know, Steve Sarkisian was a head coach at Washington for a handful of seasons and was just kind of okay, average, but they loved him in Washington. And then he ended up going to USC, and he was a coach at USC. I think he was 9-4 his first season, and then he got fired just a few weeks into his second season because he had a problem with alcohol. And that led to some problems on and off the field, mainly off the field with some things that happened. And the off the field stuff, they just couldn't put up with it anymore, so they fire him. He gets help. And he ends up kind of bouncing around the last few years as an offensive coordinator. He had been an offensive coordinator in the NFL in Atlanta. He had been at Alabama before that. He was like an interim whatever and a specialist, whatever you want to call it, under Saban at Alabama for a season, then goes to Atlanta for a season. And then the last 2 years has been back in Alabama as their offensive coordinator.
No, I mean, he's I think by all accounts, he's a good offensive mind. I think he was the OC on those great USC teams with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart,
right? Yep,
which helped him get the job at Washington.
Right.
This is to me. This is just me now. Here's the only thing that matters. Can you show up at Texas and go find a quarterback? That to me is all that matters. He's an offensive guy.
Right.
If he can find a quarterback, and I'm not breaking any news here, Matt. If you're a place like Texas, and there's plenty of recruits in the state of Texas, but if you can find a quarterback, then you can recruit to the quarterback and get the thing turned.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if they had been able to keep Ewers from Southlake before he flipped to Ohio State, they already had 2 or 3 guys like, oh, yeah, Ewers is going, I'm going to ride with him. I'm talking about receivers. And when he didn't go, I think one of them went to Alabama and one of them went to Ohio State. So he's got to be able to come in and find a quarterback. He's an offensive guy. He's been around a bunch of quarterbacks. And if he can find a quarterback, it's just like the NFL, man. You can't win without an elite quarterback at the highest level of college football.
No, you can't. And that's something that obviously Texas has not had at the college level. You know, you could say Colt McCoy maybe collegiately was, and obviously Vince Young. Vince Young is by far the best quarterback that they've ever had, probably.
But they still had talent. They had elite talent surrounding Colt McCoy.
Right.
And then he had all those intangibles. So that, you know, you can work with that if you got elite talent around a guy who's got high intangibles. That works too. But for the Texas program right now, they don't need a guy with high intangibles. They need a guy who could play.
Yep.
And bring the team and a leader and all that other stuff that you hear about cliches, but so damn true.
And I will say, to your point, while he was at USC, I mean, originally this dude was a quarterback's coach. He was a quarterback's coach at USC when Norm Chow was there. He was a quarterback's coach when he went back to USC before he became the offensive coordinator once Lane Kiffin had left to take the Raiders gig. So that's what he was known for, as a guy that can, with the quarterback coaching, his offensive mind. And I've seen it and I get it. Look, and it's fair. You're talking about, oh, how hard is it to be offensive coordinator at Bama with Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, all these names that you can throw out, you know. And obviously last year when he had Tua and he had Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs as when he was the offensive coordinator the last couple of years, you still have to figure out ways to get your playmakers open in space. And he has shown, if nothing else, he has a very good ability to do that, even against high-level competition. Yeah, a lot of the times Bama's going to play a team where those dudes, you keep like, hey, man, I don't feel like calling a play, just do whatever. And they'll just run wide open. But the reality of it is there have been some really solid play calls at Bama the last couple of seasons. We saw it the other day in the game against Notre Dame, that he is able to find ways to put his playmakers in position to make plays.
Yeah, I think I think Bama's offense has changed and adapted, and that's always a positive. And then, you know, I think based on what I've read, and Saban and all those big-time coaches are like this. Like, okay, we want you to get the job. You're good. We want you to have some success. We might let you take one guy with you, maybe. But apparently he's trying his best to get the wide receiver coach to come with him. And that would be good. Because the name of the game is not just recruiting, man, because Texas has been able to recruit.
Right.
It's also development. So you got to have some coaches, man, who can show guys how to get better, which is why Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, not only do they have 5-star recruits every year, what do they also have? Number 1 draft picks at a variety of positions every year, which means you're not just coming in as 5-star guys.
Right.
You're leaving out as number 1 draft picks. And that's why they all end up going to those same 3.5 schools each of the last 4 or 5 years, because we can compete for a championship. And you have shown us, check this out, Matt, that you can get us to the league whether we got big stats or not, or how about this, whether we start or not. You can get us to the league because you'll develop us.
Yeah, that's very true. And so we shall see. They do have to, whether it's Thompson or Hudson Card or whoever it's going to be, there will be a new quarterback in 2021. As we are doing this podcast, Sam Ehlinger has just posted on Twitter that he is declaring for the 2021 NFL draft and will not be coming back for what could have been a 5th season as a starter at Texas. So they will have a new quarterback, whoever it is, under Steve Sarkisian.
This is interesting to me, man, because, see, this is really interesting. what's your boy's name? Hudson Card or whatever?
Yeah, Hudson Card, who was, again, the number 2 quarterback behind Bryce Young in the class before. I guess that would have been considered the 2020 class or whatever.
Yeah, but that was a dual threat guy, right?
Yeah.
Sarkisian, does he like dual threat guys, or he like more passing guys?
Yeah, but who knows? I mean, obviously at Alabama, Tua was more of the guy that could sling it, and that's why they went with him over Jalen. And then, of course, Mac Jones is not very mobile at all. Right. But Bryce Young is. Bryce Young, they recruited him to come in. He was the number 1 dual-threat quarterback in the country.
Here's the other interesting thing. Whether Hudson Card is your guy or not, the transfer portal is wide open, and that evens the stakes.
Yeah.
And everybody's got, I think if you're a top 20 team, you got a backup who can play, or who could play when you sign him out of high school. And so a lot of those cats are available. Look at Tungaviola's brother, who went to Maryland. He's doing just fine up there.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
There's a lot of quarterbacks out there, man. You just got to find one, Sarkisian, get him to Texas, develop him, and then you can win. But he ain't a name that gets the Orange Bloods excited, I don't think.
No, he's not. But I also wonder, because he worked under Saban, and everybody knows how this works, Texas would have called Saban. They had his blessing in some form or fashion. He would have been vouched for in some form or fashion that he's ready. This dude can do it.
Yeah.
That Saban would have pushed him for that and would have liked to have seen him get that, knowing full well that if he goes, he's going to take some of my other assistants with him.
You want him to succeed. Too.
Right. And Kyle Flood, who is the Alabama offensive line coach, it sounds like most likely to go with him to Texas to become the offensive coordinator under Sarkisian. They've thrown out Will Muschamp as a guy that may come back to be the Texas defensive coordinator. And I'll say this. I think Will Muschamp is probably a crappy head coach, as he has proven at Florida and South Carolina. That dude is a damn good defensive coordinator.
All right.
He is, man. I mean, when he left Florida and went to Auburn for 1 year to be the DC and then left to take over at South Carolina, in 1 year, Auburn's numbers defensively across the board drastically improved. He can coach defense. He just can't be the CEO, and he can't coach as a head coach. I don't know if he'll get another shot. And I wonder, him knowing that, having failed twice at SEC head coaching jobs, you say, okay, let me go back to doing what I do best, which is coach defense. We'll see. Because I've also seen that Kevin Steele, who was the former Auburn defensive coordinator, might be a name that could come over. And if he can put together the staff, and it's got some names like that attached to it. Blake Gideon, former standout at Texas, who was a safety. He was the safety on the play where you thought he was going to pick it, and then it ended up going to Michael Crabtree. But Blake Gideon, Texas alum, he's been a hot up-and-coming special teams coach. He is on the Ole Miss staff as Lane Kiffin's special teams coach, and it sounds like he may be coming to Texas to be their special teams coach. So I think that had something to do with it, some of the names he could pull in, and we'll see. The talent's there. The talent is, Tom Herman brought in talent. Now the key will be, can Sarkisian get the best out of that and coach it to the level that the talent that they're pulling in these classes is supposed to be.
That's also why they had to fire Herman.
Right, yeah.
Because once they flirted with Urban and it got out, okay, that means you ain't really down with Herman. That means every loss next year, after every loss, hey, Tom, what about your job security? You can't recruit to that.
Right.
I mean, you had to make a move, man. And so this is the move they made, and now we will see how it works out. Well,
I figured that they probably had to fire Herman after they watched the Alamo Bowl, and they're like, holy shit, Bijan Robinson's on our team? Wait a sec. What? You mean that dude's been here all season? Okay. Dude. No, Herman, you're done. You're done. I jest, but kind of I don't.
Many truths are told in jest.
Yeah, they really are. You know what I would like to do here on this beautiful Sunday night? I would like to crack open an ice cold beer and just sip it and enjoy it. And I might just do that. But unfortunately, I'm nowhere near Rockwall, so I can't get to Beer Geek Shop. But you perhaps could. Beer Geek Shop, one of our wonderful sponsors, Jason and Deidre. We tell you guys about them. We've been telling you about this place for months, and I know many of you now are very familiar with them. I ran into some people last week at Trivia that listened to the podcast, and they're like, dude, is that beer store really as cool as you say it is? I'm like, you know how to find out, right? Literally go to Rockwall, jump online, beergeekshop.com. Yes, it is as cool. Yes, you legit can walk up and say, hey, I heard about you guys on Jam Session, and Jacques and Matt are always saying that I can just tell you some things and you'll get some beers for me. And lo and behold, Deidre will put them together for you, and you'll be just open to this whole new world of really great local crafts that Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall can provide for you.
No, Beer Geeks is great. What I like to do and what I suggest everybody do, especially if you're new to craft beer, that's the best way to phrase it, is to just tell her what you think you might like and then go say, hey, put something together for me.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, and then, the good thing is beer comes in all kind of price ranges. You can say, hey, put me together something I want to spend about $10. Put me something together I want to spend about $30. That's whatever. Because Deidre knows them all. She can find you all. And one of my joys is telling her, hey, I want 3 this week. Give me 1 surprise and give me a couple of really robust coffee stouts. And she hits it every single time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do, man. Everything in the store is available in singles, so you get to try a lot of great selections of local craft. Beer Geeks shop in downtown Rockwall right off the square. So before we wrap up this version of the podcast that most of you, again, will be listening to January 4th or sometime throughout. Oh, and I wanted to remind everybody, I need to remind people, I am still hosting trivia, and we will be doing trivia again on Wednesday night. I will be the host. It starts at 7 o'clock at Odd Muse Brewing Company, which is right there in Farmers Branch. It's about probably a mile, 2 miles north of 635 off of Spring Valley in Marsh. Very easy to get to. Or I guess that's not Marsh. And it doesn't matter. It's off of Spring Valley. I know that. So it's in Farmers Branch, and it's 7 o'clock. A lot of people, this is what's really cool. I think like 4 or 5 of the teams last week were podcast listeners, and they're like, man, and that's just, thanks for coming out, guys. We have a lot of fun. It's general knowledge. There's 4 rounds of 10 questions each. There's a winner every round, and then an overall team that wins the overall game. So if you're a trivia fan or you're curious, and I love Odd Muse. I mean, Jacques loves Odd Muse. They got some damn good beers. So,
and they had a coffee stout to die for.
Yes, they have some very good beers. So coming out, it'll be this Wednesday, January 6th at 7 o'clock, general knowledge trivia, which I got to remember to put together the questions for that.
I forgot to add one thing that has nothing to do with anything. I just thought it was cool.
Just okay at it.
I like to do this from time to time. Our friend and sponsor, Lauren Laddick. Did you see what she did this week?
I did. She had posted a picture that she got a flight of beers at Manhattan Project.
Yes, and I said, I'm so proud of you. Look at you. And that's, again, what we like when we tell you the truth about these places. Like, I like Manhattan Project because it's a swanky brewery. And I've now figured out what Matt says when every brewery's got kind of a different feel and vibe to it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all, you go check them out. Like Manhattan Project, we went and talked to their owners for a while. It was great. Matter of fact, we sampled a beer from them this weekend, a sparkling IPA, I believe.
Yeah, Trinitite.
It's kind of a dry taste like a champagne, perfect for brunch, I've been told.
That's available at Beer Geek Shop in Rockwall. It all ties together. It's great.
It all ties together.
Yeah, I've been meaning to let everybody know that the trivia, it is a weekly thing. It's going to be every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and then I think I was talking about, I thought this might be cool one day, and we may do this on January 13th, is to do like a theme of decades where we do it where one round is the 70s and then 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
General trivia?
Yeah, general trivia from those decades, but it'd be like just history, music, movies, stuff like that, but each round focused on a specific decade.
I like that.
Yeah, I thought that might be fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you can come out sometime and play some trivia at Odd Muse. I'll let you know.
Maybe I'll bring my own team of ringers.
Maybe you could, and we'll see. Maybe you're the people that talk and say the answers out loud, and I have to look at you and make fun of you on the mic.
We just want to hear you do your game show voice.
All right, that is it. Let's see who has won round 1. We'll be right back 2-2 to you. Before we close it down, we have to mention this quick conversation about
the Buckeyes win.
Well, no, but we can if you want. We can do that. We can do whatever we want, Jacques. I just can't. Look, see, this is going to go on the podcast because this is what makes it fun because everybody, this is real. See, we have dinner plans, so I have to be done here fairly shortly.
Oh, now the truth comes out.
Yeah, so it has to be, do you want to have a Kellen Moore discussion now or do it on the next one? Or do you want to have college football discussion or do it on the next one?
Oh, that's pretty easy. We should have college football discussion because it'll be old by the next one, and Kellen Moore will still be fresh.
Yeah, he will. So, yeah, how about your Buckeyes, man? Look, Alabama, the first game, everybody figured Alabama was going to win. I have to say it was an underwhelming, just kind of an automatic type machine like victory. I will say,
efficient.
I thought it was really interesting that Bama was able to do it and do it in a way that we don't see them win much anymore. They had some quick strikes, but they were also able to withstand the methodical, I want to have an 8-minute drive Notre Dame team that's a ball possession team. And Bama had no problem playing that game and putting up 31 points on them.
Right? No, Bama played well, and they showed they showed why that they're Bama, man, and why they're so hard to beat, because they got the passing game with the guy I think should win the Heisman Trophy, Devonta Smith. And then, Najee, let me be honest about him, man.
Dude.
I'm just being honest. He didn't really impress me that much his first 3 seasons at Bama. Was he good? Yes. Did he seem like special to me? No. I mean, he seemed like just a good, solid running back. A guy who'd be like Mark Ingram in the NFL.
Yeah.
Good, solid, long career. He didn't strike me as anything extraordinary for all the hype that he got. I want to say it came out of Ventura. But this year, I got to tell you, man, he looks like he found something, and now he's elevated himself to really, really good. I still don't know if he's special, but he's really, really good.
Yeah, I agree with you. And apparently so does Todd McShay, because he was saying on the broadcast that he had him second round at best. And then that's part of the reason why he came back to Bama, because he didn't get a first round grade. And he comes back to Bama. Now Todd McShay is saying that he thinks he's overtaken the Clemson back, Travis Etienne, as the guy who a lot of teams will think is the best running back in this class. And look, we see this every year. We saw it last year with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Sometimes these backs will get taken in the first, sometimes not, just because of the way that the NFL values backs. I don't think this is like a Zeke or a Saquon guy, but McShay has a first-round grade on him for what that's worth, and that obviously wasn't the case until this year. But he finally, to your point, man, coming out of California, he was the number 1 overall recruit in his class. And I kind of thought the same. You would see flashes of it, but this season, man, he has just taken it to a totally different level. His whole patience almost, where he's able to wait for it to develop, and then when it does, he's got that explosiveness. And obviously the hurdle, those highlight type things, he's done that a couple of times this year where he's jumped the dude and picked up a really long gain. But Bama has been the best team all year long. I think they're still the best team, but man, your boys at Ohio State, dude, they kicked the shit out of Clemson.
Yeah, and I didn't think they would. But let me tell you what I told somebody who's a Bama fan. I mean, as much a Bama fan as you are, about Bama after the game. We were talking, and I said, Bama, to me, there's a way to beat them, but it's a 2-lane country road. It's not a 4-lane highway. Right. And so if you can get on that country road, you can beat them. But you got to play your best game, and you got to beat them, 45, 42, 49, 44, something. You got to hit 38 to 40 minimum to beat them. And I didn't think we could do that until the Clemson game. And why do you think I think we can do that, Matt? There's one reason why.
Okay, I'm curious, because to me, I didn't realize, I kind of had figured that they had it, but the speed that Ohio State has can match, obviously, what Clemson had, and it can match the speed that Alabama's able to roll out there.
No, that's true. And that all changed with Urban. No, man, there's one reason why we are now capable of beating Bama. I would still favor Bama. I still think Bama will win. But there's one reason why we can now beat Bama. And his name is Trey Sermon.
Yeah, that dude is a beast, man.
That's why. Because now,
damn,
you're not a one-dimensional team. Like Master Teague, who was Ohio State's running back starter most of the year, he's a good, solid back. He's a one-cut back. He's the first time he makes a guy miss will be the first time he makes a guy miss. He'll get what's there. And he got some speed. And so if there's a hole there, he can take it to the house, but he's a big lumbering guy. Trey Sermon was just a guy all year. And then he gained 300 yards against Northwestern.
Right.
And then he went for 193 or 197 or whatever he got against Clemson. Now, as I told my dude while we were watching the game, he's in the zone right now. He's feeling it. He's got incredible confidence. And now that gives you that dual combo on offense where you can run it and you can throw it. Because if you can only do one, Nick Saban going to take that away from you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you're not going to have a chance.
For sure.
But if you can do both and they have talent, now there's a shot. You have a shot.
I am curious to see because, and we talked about this on our last podcast leading into that game, Ohio State's front four is good. Now, they don't have the standout one guy like the Bosas or the Young, but as a collective unit, they have gotten a lot of pressure. They were third in the nation going into the Clemson game in pressure from their front four. Thing of it is, Clemson's offensive line is not as nearly as good as what Alabama rolls out there. Now, Chase Dickerson has to miss the game at center again. That's obviously going to hurt Bama, but Alabama's got a couple of dudes on that offensive line who will be first-round draft picks. That is going to be a really, really interesting matchup, I think, to see if Bama is able to help Mac Jones not be, because Trevor Lawrence was pressured constantly. He got drilled several times. I mean, Ohio State was bringing it, man.
Yeah. No, I was that, and, the reason I didn't feel especially confident defensively, I thought we could score on Clemson. How much, I wasn't sure, but I thought we'd put some points up. I was worried about defensively, and that worry will not go away this week because we gave up big plays all year long. Teams didn't really drive the ball on Ohio State this year, but they gave up big plays out the wazoo. They had some problems at safety with young guys playing, and they just gave up big plays all year. Well, damn well, Alabama's all about big plays.
Right.
And so if you don't keep those guys in front of you, they'll just hit you all night long. And so it's like any other game, but it's really what you have to do against them because they're so explosive with Smith and with, what's the guy's name, Mechie?
Yeah, John Mechie.
If you can hold them to just a few big plays, because they're going to make some. And I thought that was one of the I was reading the comments after the game. That's one of the best things I heard Ohio State's one of them say after the game, which is, hey, we knew it was Clemson. We knew they were really good. We knew they would hit us for a couple of big plays. And so we just said when it happens, we can't be tripping on it. Just go back and line up for the next one. Well, if you can keep that same attitude, that'll help.
Yeah, and it'll be – I'm very interested to see this. I think it's going to be a better game than people would have originally have thought. And, look, Ole Miss this year put up more points than anybody. They put up more points on Bama than Florida did in the SEC championship game. The Bama defense – you can put points up on it if you have guys like Ohio State has that have speed, that can make plays like Sermon in the backfield, a mobile quarterback like Fields, hopefully who doesn't have any lingering effects from his rib thing. You want him to be fully healthy because you like seeing these games when everybody's good and ready to go, man. And I think it's going to be a really good game. I would not be surprised if it's reminiscent of the SEC title game that Bama won 52-46. But if Ohio State can do in the 40s like Ole Miss and Florida did on Bama this year, then they've got a shot. Then
it'll be a fourth quarter game.
Yeah, there's no doubt Ohio State can win this game. Will they? I still think Bama's been the best team all year long. They have very, very few flaws. So they're going to need some help, make a couple of mistakes. But Ohio State has shown against Clemson, they can make some of the best talent in the world look pretty damn crappy.
Now I'm going to tell you about my dad moment from this game. So the game's coming on, and we had been out at my daughter's house having black-eyed peas and greens. And the game's about to come on, and my dude walks in. He says, hey, I'm about to head over to Dylan's house. And I go, really? He goes, yeah. I said, so you're not going to watch the game with your dad? He starts smiling. He goes, no. I'm going to Dylan's house. I said, all right, fine. Take your ass over there. And I'm laughing when I'm saying that. So I go upstairs and I'm watching the game. I'm having a good time. I got a beverage and I'm watching, not a beer because I don't want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying the game. And I hear the garage come up about 20 minutes later. And I hear somebody come up the stairs. I go, yo. He goes, yeah. I go, what happened? You forget something? And he walks in, and this is my proud dad moment. He goes, no, I was going to watch the game over there, but there were so many people over there that wasn't a good spot to watch the game. So I had to come back with you. Plus, I felt a little guilty. I said, my boy, that's what's up.
There it is.
The fact that there was, the guilty part is cool. But the fact that he said, I wanted to watch the game with my boy, not my dad, but I couldn't find a good spot to watch the game. It's too many people talking. I'm not in charge of the TV over there. He said, bleep it. I'm finna go home and watch the game because my boys are playing and I need to watch it.
I like that, man.
That means I have raised him properly. He ain't wearing no Seahawks t-shirts. I have raised him. Oh, you thought I forgot, didn't you?
Okay. That was cold. Come on, man.
Okay, give y'all a backstory.
Awesome.
Y'all know Matt's the biggest Cowboys fan of all time. But his son is a Seahawks fan, in addition to being, I guess, a Cowboys fan.
Yes, because
he let his ex-wife brainwash his son.
His mom and her family are from Seattle and are Seahawks fans. So yeah, he gets both sides. Yes, but we shall see as he gets older. I have a feeling he'll side with Dad. But that's a good story, and that will wrap it up. Because as I said, I just got the text. Are you almost done? So.
Don't you love family, man?
You got to love it. But thanks for listening to the Jam Session Podcast. Make sure to find us on Instagram at Jam Session Cast. Don't forget about our YouTube channel. You can subscribe today by searching Jam Session Podcast. And, of course, on Twitter at McMattRadio at JJT_journalist. Thanks to Purple Elephant Music for the music you hear at the end and beginning of each episode. He is the radio and TV star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor. And I'm just a guy, Matt McLaren. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Tell your friends to do the same, and we'll catch you next time. Available everywhere you listen to podcasts.